I'm welcomed today into the Executive Lounge of CalBank PLC by the Managing Director, Mr. Philip Owiredu, Dzifa Amegashie, the Head, Corporate and Investor Relations, and Peter Fordjor, Group Head, Retail and Consumer Banking. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for welcoming me to your Executive Lounge. Finally, I've made it into this iconic building. I'll tell my mother. But we shall talk about that shortly. For 25 minutes, I just want us to have a discussion on the bank's leadership, your strategic engagements with all your stakeholders, your core business, and lastly, working at CalBank. I hope it's okay.
Totally fine.
Philip, you joined the bank in 2004, and you've risen through the ranks, you've worn many hats, and you assumed the position of Managing Director in 2020. Such a bad year to be MD. But, you know, the bank has an enviable track record of solid financial performance underpinned by very robust technology. What technologies and innovations have been at play since you took over till now?
Thank you, Jerry, and welcome to CalBank.
Thank you.
Since I took over, I think the trajectory of the bank, considering the environment in which we currently play in globally, when it comes to banking and the very thin line between technology and banking, our strategy has been to ensure that our services, products, and our processes are underpinned by technology. Okay. So what we've done since we 2000, getting into 2001 and putting together a 3-year strategy, which one focal point has been innovation and technology. So what have we done? What we've done is to ensure that our products, in terms of how we interact with customers, we are in a generation where everybody would like to have a certain service which is of convenience. Sure. We have young people which are very technologically savvy, so we have to make sure that banking to the general populace and even including the elderly are quite convenient and friendly. So what have we done? We have made sure that in terms of how we get to our customers through the various products, our apps, we have apps that are very convenient to use. You go into our banking halls, you do not touch paper, you just key in your requirements and you go through the process. When you come into how we serve our customers, through that strategy I talked about, we decided that we're going to broaden our footprint. We're going to broaden our retail agenda as a bank. And through that, we decided that let us not just do this through brick and mortar, because currently banking is more of how do you reach the customer, irrespective of whether it's brick and mortar or it's through technology. But technology is more what prevails now. Sure. So our agent banking platform, we've put together an agent banking platform. At the moment, we have about 450 merchants on it. We intend to extend that. Though we have improved upon our physical footprint from about 28 branches to about 36 branches so far. We hope to get to 38 quite soon. We've made sure that we're able to reach the customers, making sure that technology is available for them to use.
Indeed, technology has been a game changer for you, but you come to this discussion with a wealth of experience, especially in the financial aspects of your business. You've been CFO, you've been GM, finance and all that. I just looked through the reports, 2021, you've made some tremendous gains. Aside technology, what else has accounted for your strong financial performance?
Aside to technology, it's basically being able to make sure that we rally the people around what our objectives are. Okay. Through that process, we decided to go through some sort of culture change program, which is focused on performance management, making sure that our people do understand that to be able to grow as an institution, we need to have the mindset which is focused on how we manage our performance, sure, how we serve our customers, how we make sure that shareholders, at least at the end of the day, are happy in terms of the investments that they've made. Customer experience has been critical to this journey, making sure that everybody has the customer as their focal point, because at the end of the day, the customer is whom we are here for. So we've made sure that our people are aligned when it comes to customer experience. Our people are aligned when it comes to our culture, our attention to detail, our attention to how we perform, and making sure that we work together as a team.
That's very instructive, Mr. Owiredu, all these points you've reached, which really bode well for the stakeholders. But let me ask you, Dzifa, you come to this discussion with a wealth of experience in corporate and investor relations. I want to ask you about how the bank has made great strides in the area of building trust and maintaining trust and credibility with your investors and other stakeholders, particularly in these very difficult times.
Okay, Jerry, thanks very much for that. I think the first thing I'd like to do is just to locate investor relations and, tell a lot of people what it is, because it's not a lot of organizations that have an investor relations function. Typically, it would be limited to companies that are listed. Okay. So investor relations is actually just financial PR. You're communicating to the investor community, whether they are individuals or they're institutions, analysts, and also internal constituent staff are also stakeholders in the IR journey. And trust, you've hit the nail on the head. Trust and credibility are really the key objectives in IR. That is what we do. That is what we seek to do. And at Cal, we've achieved that, I would say, in 3 ways. The first thing is that you must, as an organization, have committed to disclosure at a very high level. So the board must have an appetite for disclosure. Okay. The company must disclose for set-piece events, but also for irregular events. So I think that high-level commitment within CalBank around disclosure is what we've come to be known for, and that's why we've built trust with the investor community, and we've become a respected listed company. I think the second thing is making a commitment to communicate and to engage at all times. And when you talk about current volatility, it's very important to communicate in the good times, but also communicate in the bad times. In the good times, you have the set-piece event, communicating your financials, etc., engaging with your shareholders around your performance. But in the bad times or the not-so-good times, it's very important also to talk about the event, the crisis, the problem, and engage shareholders or the investor community around how you plan to push through and solve that issue. Crises, as they come and go, are solvable. The key thing is how it is solved and how you communicate how you plan to get through that event. And I'd say the last thing is it's important to communicate internally. Your staff, as I said, are a very important constituent around what it is that you do, what you plan to do, and how you perform currently and how you perform in future. And that basically gives them the trust that CalBank is a good place to work and the institution is lasting and enduring. So basically that's how we go about it.
That's impressive, but let me just push you a little bit on that point. COVID has taught us, a lot of people to think short to medium term. Mm-hmm. How do you manage the expectations of long-term results versus short-term plans of, your various stakeholders? Okay,
so I think we all know that the organization, an organization like CalBank, will have a medium to long-term strategy built over a number of years. But there are a number of, day-to-day activities and initiatives that we execute to be able to achieve that objective. So the two are not, there isn't a disconnect between the two. The most important thing in IR is that the communication must serve to address the connection between what you're doing in the short term and how that achieves what your long-term strategic goals are. So that's basically what we do and what we have done over the years.
Okay. Peter.
Hi, Jerry.
You have made tremendous gain on the retail front. Your banks, when you go into CalBank, nothing is paper, everything is, computerized. Tell me, what's been the evolution of the retail banking space when it comes to CalBank?
Good question, Jerry. And I would say banking in general, and the face of which is retail banking, has gone through a very interesting evolution. Gone were the days where one will tell their family members they are going to visit a bank. In fact, it was a status symbol to have an account. Mm-hmm. But I think those days are long gone. Banking is now a lifestyle. Okay, and for us at CalBank, and to treat things in a CalBank context, For us at CalBank, it is that evolution that fuels how we design our customer touch point and our product and services. I'll give you a typical example. So if I take the banking app, and I think Philip mentioned that, if I take the banking app for CalBank, if I take billers, and by billers I mean vendors who present their services on the app. If I take merchant, by merchant I mean companies who present their sales and they sell their product and services on the app. And even schools that collect fees on the app. We have close to 600 pay points on the app.
Wow.
Can you agree that is like a shopping mall? Okay, so you can literally live on the app. Okay, and this is because CalBank believes that banking is a lifestyle now, not an event in the past. Okay, and I think we've talked about the experience in the banking hall. Not only is it a very beautiful experience in terms of ambience, we use technology to present paperless. So for you, anybody who walks into CalBank today, you don't have to use any paper to do your transactions. It's paperless. Okay, so I think those, for me, underpins our belief that banking is a life cycle. It's a lifestyle. And I think that for us as a bank, this goes to the very core of how we design our product. Okay. So back to the app, any customer who wants to use a banking app will look out for 3 ingredients. Okay, security, convenience, and the user friendliness of the app. And these 3 for me is the bedrock of the app we've presented. Okay, so this is just to give you a flavor of how far we've come in general and then as a bank.
2023, what's the focus for retail and consumer banking?
Again, a good question. So in the spirit of still ensuring that we are supporting the lifestyle of our customers, I would say there are 3 products that I'm very, very, very excited about for 2023. Okay. 3 products. And this is holding every other great thing we do constant. 3 products. First, we are calling our Snap Loan. Okay, so Snap Loan is a very interesting loan. It's a loan you can go and get on any of our digital channels under 2 minutes without walking to a banking hall, without talking to anybody. Brilliant product. Second product is a savings version of this product where, again, in this current environment, it's important to save. You can conduct your savings without having to go to any banking hall to open any account, without having to talk to anybody. Again, another interesting, brilliant experience. And then the one that for me is the most exciting is the current age is social media age. Everybody has a certain social media interactions every single day. So CalBank asks ourselves a simple question: why don't we extend banking onto those platforms? Okay. Again, in support of the thinking that we want to have banking as a lifestyle. So social banking is coming up, and I think it's one to look out for. So you don't have to bother to exit your social media platforms to come and do your banking. Everything is a seamless experience. So for me, those are the things that we're excited about for this year.
So against the backdrop of how the bank meets the competing aspirations of your shareholders, both long-term and short-term, allow me to address a very big elephant in the room, the domestic debt exchange program. What is the future of CalBank in the light of that?
Okay, Jerry, thank you very much. This obviously is a topical issue that quite a lot of people would like to shy away from, but at CalBank we do not shy away from that. This program has obviously impacted the whole financial services sector, including banks. And CalBank operations still remain very resilient. Okay. Within the confines of regulation, we meet all our requirements as prescribed by regulation. And the future definitely looks bright for CalBank. Whatever we need to do within the challenges that we have to make sure that we propel our business and get back to the levels we were at and even beyond that. The management and board would ensure that that is done to make sure that the bank still moves into the future.
So issues of solvency, capital adequacy, profitability, all those boxes have been ticked. So that's a word of assurance for you, our customers, and all our shareholders. So Dzifa, coming back to you, let's talk about the partnerships and stakeholder engagements. I want to ask a question about how the bank ensures that all your corporate social initiatives feed into your overall business strategy.
Overall, the CalBank brand is very connected to a number of values. Okay. And those values are around ESG, the environment, social, and governance. There's also a commitment to some of the Sustainable Development Goals, so the SDG goals from the United Nations, and also as part of the Ghana Sustainability Principles. And we do that and we make those commitments because we are focused on what is important to people. Okay. people, whether they're investors, whether they're our customers, whether they're our staff, those things that we pursue as values have to be meaningful to the people we serve. So if we look across the world at various, studies, PwC, all sorts of analysts, there are various studies that show you that the new generation, Philip talked about the Generation Zs. Sure. The Generation Zs are very concerned about ESG. And ESG forms a fundamental part of decisions and choices that they make, whether those choices are about buying clothes, shoes, where they live, but also where they bank and who they bank with. So ESG is not just a tick in the box. It's actually something that our constituents expect and they love to hear about. So as an organization, we're not just engaged in sort of CSI initiatives, which are just around charitable donations that you had in the past, where people go to a hospital or a school and give something away. It's actually embedded in the values and in the brand. So which are the values that we've committed to? So there's three SDG goals that the bank has committed to. The first is SDG 5, which is about gender equality. The second is SDG 7, which is about energy. In our particular case, it's around clean energy, renewable energy, and how we promote that amongst our customers and also ourselves. I think you know about our building, arguably being one of the greenest buildings, not just in Accra, but in Ghana. The third is the SDG 9, which is about innovation and technology. So Peter spoke about what we do in terms of digitalization and how the bank has really pursued that very aggressively as an agenda. So it ticks a number of boxes. It is strategic. It's a strategic objective, digitalization. It's an objective that makes us money, but it's also something that is good. And I think the overriding objective or the view of CalBank is that doing good and doing well are absolutely compatible. If you get that mix right of doing good and doing well, you get rewarded for it, as we have been in so many ways, in brand loyalty, high net promoter scores, customer loyalty, and basically customer appreciation of the organization, because we're doing good things, but we're also making money for investors. So that's the overriding objective of what our social responsibility and corporate social initiatives are about.
Which makes a good case for stakeholder capitalism, which says that businesses exist to fulfill a purpose.
Correct.
And then impact society sustainably.
We absolutely subscribe to that completely.
So whilst talking about ESG, let me ask you, Philip, going green as an organization, how has it really impacted your operations? What have been the benefits? And how are you assisting other organizations, your clients, your stakeholders, to also go green?
Okay, Jerry, good question. Going green, I think globally, the green agenda, it's something, you talk about the various COP meetings that have been going on, which have been quite topical. You talk about the global agenda of net zero. So as an institution, how do we contribute our quota to this? And we started off by making sure that our building in which we are now, we have a 500 kilowatts solar system in here, which provides about 50% of our energy requirements here. Not only do we have it here, but we're also extending it to the branches, to our ATMs, to make sure that as an institution, we do live that agenda of going green. In CalBank, we say that we live green and we finance green. What do we do here? We are not dependent on the national water systems. We have our own water systems here. We harness our own water through rainwater, boreholes, and we service our building here ourselves. So we have done that for ourselves. In terms of processes, we also make sure that in terms of making sure that in terms of the use of paper through our technological agenda that we are minimizing the use of paper. Okay. So in terms of our internal processes too, we are also making sure that we have that green effect in terms of our processes. Okay. Now, how do we make sure that we extend this to our clients? Our credit process ensures that wherever there is any environmental issue attendant to a credit that we have to carry out, we make sure that we embed environmental and social issues in that credit process, okay, making sure that the client's activities do not negatively impact on the environment. Through that, we've been able to have access to finance at cheaper cost, which, okay, we pass on to the customers. So we have a facility, we had a facility of $25 million from IFC for green projects, and $20 million from AFD, which is through the SunRef, okay, program, which we pass on to our customers. So making sure that the benefits we had from the learnings as an institution, we've been able to pass that through onto making sure that we have access to credits, which we then pass it on to customers at a, okay, cheaper cost for both of us as bankers and as our customers to promote the green agenda.
Wow, that's laudable. Let me come to you, Dzifa. I'll come to you shortly on a very important. You talk about gender parity, women's empowerment. What does it mean really in the strategy of CalBank, and how is it being implemented? Are the men supportive?
The men, I must say, the men are extremely supportive, but the women are also here in their numbers. So, you know, there's quite a critical mass of women at CalBank. The gender equality theme is absolutely central, okay, to CalBank's strategy and also to our values. Okay. And we've been very deliberate and intentional about it. Like I said before, we've committed to the SDG 5, which is about gender equality. But we also have established a women's banking unit in 2018. And that is really to serve the needs of our female clients, but also women businesses within society. Okay. So we've been purposeful and deliberate about it. And we've gone about it by supporting female businesses in a couple of ways. The first is, one of the key challenges that women face in business is not being in a nurturing ecosystem. Mm-hmm. So it's the networking opportunities, creating the space for them to be in a virtuous ecosystem. So that's meeting with suppliers, okay, people who would be able to provide them some sort of technical assistance, any service provider or a network which would enable them to work better. So Peter and his team in particular have been very deliberate about that. They've organized a couple, more than a couple, I would say, of business networking events, both in Ghana. The highlight was a visit to Turkey a couple of years ago for both male and female customers on a trade-related business fair where women were able to meet potential suppliers, look at products, and actually engage, you know, one-on-one with some of these business networks. The second very important way is we support women through building their capacity. I know it's an old haggard word, but it's very important. Capacity building in terms of some of the basics, bookkeeping, okay, succession planning. Mm-hmm. What do you do when you're getting on and you need to ensure the business continuity? Who do you hand over to? Is it a relative? Is it a friend? How do you make sure that those structures are properly in place? And basic bookkeeping. You know, there has to be a difference between your personal expenses and your personal lifestyle and the business expenses and the business lifestyle. They may seem very basic things, but at a very, it's a critical learning point. So we do a lot of capacity building with the women's groups and the women's networks. But then probably the flagship product is the Obapa women's finance product. So that's a loan facility particularly for women-owned or women-managed businesses. And that is a product that is specifically designed, tailor-made with specific features incorporated. There's some concessionary interest rates, there is also some features around security, which is very often a challenge. Women may not be the de facto owners of collateral, but we have ways around securing the loan facilities without the landed property or the typical sort of collaterals that are required. So it's been a fantastic journey. We have an incredible colleague who actually leads that venture, and it's brought us a lot of accolades and laurels.
Amazing views shared so far, but let's wrap up by talking about the people at CalBank. Let me start with you, Peter. Tell us, what is the bank doing to ensure that staff continue to stay focused, determined to contribute their all to the upliftment of the brand?
Okay, so I think that's a very good question, and I would say that MD touched on a piece of it. And for me, I think it's about the culture of the bank. Okay. I would say that the bank is more than 30 years old. We've built great successes over the years, but we are not resting on our laurels. So we've started a certain culture change program, and the very heart of that program is to ensure that there is opportunity for people to grow, the right environment is created for performance, and then the recognition and the money aspect also is taken care of. Sure. So for me, I think these three things coming together is the recipe for success in terms of the environment created for staff to progress, to thrive, and to contribute a quota towards the bank's great success.
Dzifa, your input on that?
Okay, so in addition to Peter's point, very important point about culture and having a good organizational culture, I think being known to be an equal opportunities employer is very important. Okay. So coming back to your gender question, for quite a number of years, the bank has been 50-50 in terms of gender balance. And what's remarkable is that 50-50 goes up to the senior management level. Okay. So it's not just that, you know, you have tellers and, you know, junior level staff who are women. At the senior management level, you'll find a large proportion of our heads of department are female, including myself. So it's about living that reality of being an equal opportunities employer and actually seeing that it is possible to actually rise within the organization. So that's a very important thing for all of us.
I'm told when it's negative, we call it politics. When it's positive, we call it culture. But it all starts and falls with leadership. You have the last word, Philip.
I think for me, Peter and Dzifa have touched on most of the things that we do to make sure that our staff do have some sort of a sense of belonging, a sense of attachment to the Cal brand. Okay. But the most important thing is to be able to provide a sense of direction for the people. It's quite important that people would walk into whether the head office, any branch, and they understand where as an institution we are going. Okay. What role they do play in making sure that that objective is achieved, and what sort of environment is being created for them to make sure that they work in a very comfortable environment. So we've started talking about work from home practices. That has been piloted. Very soon we are going to go full blown on that. We've started talking about people not feeling tied up with all these ties and how do they come to work, feel well relaxed but well presented, and making sure that as an institution we do create a very conducive environment for our staff to come and work in. And for me, the overarching thing is, where are we? What is the direction? How do we fit in? And how do we contribute to make sure that we build a great institution? And at the end of the day, also knowing that there's something in it for me and all other stakeholders. And with that mindset, we all work together as a team and promote the growth of the bank.
It's been a very fascinating conversation on the leadership of CalBank, your partnerships and stakeholder engagements, your core business, but most importantly, your people. I've learned so much. And just like the ship at the back there, it's my prayer that the winds of success will fill your sails. And maybe the next time when we gather here, it will be to count the dividends that have accrued to CalBank in the year 2023. And for taking the time to watch this interview, I want to thank you, our clients, our potential clients, our employees, and our potential employees. You know where to turn for all your banking needs. Come to CalBank, because we say
Forward together.
My name is Jerry Adjorlolo. I thank you for your time. Bye-bye.